Hello, my name is Emmanuel Kayode Oladipo, and today I'm going to show you briefly how to create a simple calculator. Before we start, I just wanted to understand that it is important to design whatever application you want to create before implementing it. So we're going to go and design first, plan the calculator, and then after that we're gonna implement it using Python, and specifically we're going to be using the object-oriented programming. Okay, so let's start. So on the basis of this explanation, we're going to go through some important key concepts we need to learn. So the topic therefore is to design and then to implement a simple calculator. Please note, although we're going to do this today, in subsequent lessons I'll show you briefly how you can create a scientific calculator. So objectives, therefore, one, we want to be able to design a simple calculator. We also want to be able to implement a simple calculator. Now, there are some important key concepts you need to learn, and most of the time I'm going to be using all those keywords as we go along. The first is class, and the second bit is known as the method, and then the instance. Now, what exactly do we mean by a class? A class basically is a collection of objects. For instance, right here we have a class of cars, and as you can see, this class of cars is made up of a variety of cars. For instance, we have the Ford, we have the Toyota, and we have the Volkswagen. Okay, so each car within this class is known as an instance. Is an instance or an object from the class. So in a way, when you mention the word object in object-oriented programming, you simply referring to an instance of a class. An instance of a class basically refers to the sample, the specimen, of that class. Just as it is here, we have three instances here now. We have the Ford, we have the Toyota, and we have the Volkswagen. Okay, now another thing I need to emphasize here is we have what we call attributes. Attributes, as we know it, are some of the characteristics, the properties of each instance. That is, the properties of each object. For instance, the Ford here, as we can see, is got a model, which is Ford Mustang, as you can see here, and that is an attribute. And we can see that this car basically uses gasoline, it uses petrol basically, and the color is green. So the green, the model, the color, the model, and the fuel type it uses, those three are the characteristics of the car, and we call them attributes in object-oriented programming. Now, if you go further, you see the Toyota, and the Toyota here. The color, the attributes are red, Prius, and electricity. So the Prius is the model. So all those characteristics are the attributes. The same thing goes for the Volkswagen, so that we now understand what we mean by all those key concepts. Now, when we talk about a method basically is the action produced by the object. For instance, these cars can move, so that's a method. The cars can speed, can accelerate, that will be a method. Okay, the cars can brake, that's a method. The car can horn, that can sound its horn, that's a method. It can produce a sound. So all those actions these objects can create is basically what we call the method, and we're going to be creating a method in this tutorial. Now, before designing, like I said, we're going to be designing and creating a simple calculator. Now, before you create something in software development or programming, you simply have to design it. The design gives you a kind of an idea, the blueprint of how your product will look like after creation. Okay, for instance, right here we're going to create this calculator, and as you can see, we want this calculator to have an interface there. The container, as you can see, the container there. This container basically will contain the screen. Although this screen basically will be using TextBox to implement it. We use TextBox to implement that. We use Tkinter package to implement the interface, the container itself, and the buttons as well. See those buttons there? We'll get them from Tkinter. All those buttons, we'll be getting all those from a Tkinter package. Okay, so here we have all those small buttons for the calculator, and we want to be using the long button here for the equal sign. Okay, so just for you to remember, the screen, like I said, we will use TextBox to implement that. The container itself, which is the interface of the calculator, like I said, we'll be using Tkinter interface for that, or the master interface. All right. So the implementation will look something like this. After creation, I've just created this, and as you can see, this has been implemented, but there are a couple of things you need to look at here. We have the container, we have the title, simple calculator right there, we have the buttons, and we have one button here with a kind of a crazy icon to delete, for deletion. I'm going to show you how you can use ASCII codes or Unicode, if I may put it that way. We'll be using Unicode to implement that bit, that icon you're looking at there. Okay, so but for now, we're just going to create this interface, and after creating this interface, in the second part of our tutorial, we will implement the functionality, so that when somebody press 1 and press when somebody press, let's say, 6 divided by 2 and press equal sign, 3 should be displayed in the screen. So we will implement the functionality, but for now, in this particular tutorial, we want to create the interface first. I hope this is very clear. And then in subsequent lessons, like I said, we will be creating scientific calculator. As you can see, I've increased the border here. That's why it's very big like this, but it looks very nice. And you see all those icons set, you see there. This is, as you can see, this is purely scientific. This is exponentiation, raising a number to the power of 2, I believe, and raising a number to the power of 3, sorry, and then raising a number to the power of 2, raising a number to any power at all, and then the percentage, square root, and all that. I will show you, I will teach you all these things as we go along. Just make sure you are always logging in and you're following. This is really very important, especially for students planning to carry out a simple college project. Okay, and that is it. That's all we have to do today. Please, if you have any question, you can use my Facebook. If you are connected to me, you can use my Facebook to text me. Alternatively, you can email me by using emmanuelkayode@hotmail.co.uk. Okay, so that's all we're going to do, and we will start in part 2. This is just an introduction actually. But before I start the implementation, let me just show you a couple of things I've prepared. Now, as you can see here, I've decided in my design here, I've decided to use 4 columns. See? Column 0, column 1, column 2, column 3. Okay? Please note, the columns normally will start from 0. Okay, so that I want you to get used to this, so that when we start using programming to implement this, you will understand that if I put the range, of iteration, for instance, you wouldn't say why we have 4 columns, but then you're using 3. Okay, now I've numbered the row as well. We're going to use the column index and the row index to position the button. Okay, like that. And to be honest with you, arranging these buttons, we'll be using we will create a kind of a list and then loop through the list to arrange them. Okay, now the screen, like I said, we'll be using text box to implement that. Okay, and that's all we're going to be doing, which is quite simple and straightforward. Okay, thank you.